Hello and welcome back to the Daily Bread Bible Study. We are looking at day 88 for Saturday, March 28th, 2020, focusing on 1 Samuel chapters 22 through 24. Today we see David wandering around, trying to seek refuge, and still having some encounters with Saul. So David wanders to find a safe place and enters a cave, and his family members come to seek him out because they are likely uncomfortable as well with Saul eyeing them too. He gathers a motley crew of 400 quote-unquote distressed, indebted, and discontent people and then travels into the land of Judah. When Saul learns that David has been found, and then laments that the people surrounding him are conspiring against him. Saul cannot see how his own leadership is making people not trust him. So Doeg, the Edomite, then mentions his visit to the priest Ahimelech, and Saul summons the priest, only to hear that Ahimelech did not know that David was not in good standing with King Saul. In his fury, King Saul wants someone else to shed innocent blood of Ahimelech. In 1 Samuel 22:17, it says, "The king said to the guard who stood around him, 'Turn and kill the priest of the Lord, because their hand is also with David. They knew he fled and did not disclose it to me.' But the servants of the king would not raise their hand to attack the priest of the Lord." They had fear of God and were thinking that King Saul was taking it too far. No one wants to be the hands to, kill. So the king commands Doeg to do it, knowing that Doeg already gave in to the king's kind of peer pressure before. So, obedient to the king, the Edomite kills Ahimelech and 85 who wore the linen ephod, which are the priest of the Lord. In 1 Samuel 22:19, it says, "Nob, the city of the priests, he put to the sword. Men and women, children and infants, oxen, donkeys, and sheep he put to the sword." Taking the priest of the Lord, killing them, an utter disgrace in Israel. Fortunately, one of the priests named Abiathar escapes, and as he was running away, he thinks, well, who else can I seek? I will seek David, because I know that David is not going to try and kill me, and also he knows that if David is able to escape Saul, he is better odds sticking around David. So he seeks out David. Abiathar does find David and tells him of the massacre, and David then takes responsibility for their lives. It's ironic that David, whose lies kept Ahimelech innocent, sees their blood on his hands, and King Saul, whose actions kill the innocent and the priests, actively avoids believing their deaths are his responsibility. It is easy to see who is the more responsible leader here, that David is taking more responsibility than King Saul is around the death of these priests. In 1 Samuel 23, it continues with David is not only responsible to people, but also responsible to God. David hears God's call to fight the Philistines to save the Israelites who are in Keilah. Knowing that this will put him in danger of Saul, David still goes to save Keilah. And Saul, obsessed with killing David, plans to destroy the city David just saved. Yet again, Saul is making all sorts of terrible decisions from the writer's perspective. David again consults God and then flees into the wilderness of Ziph. Saul sought him every day, but the Lord did not give him into his hands, as it says in 1 Samuel 23:14. His son Jonathan does meet again with David. I was incorrect last time when I said that Jonathan does not meet with David, but here in 1 Samuel 23:16-18, Saul's son Jonathan set out and came to David at Horish. There he strengthened his hand through the Lord. He said to him, "Do not be afraid, for the hand of my father Saul shall not find you. You shall be king over Israel, and I shall be second to you. My father Saul also knows that this is so." Then the two of them made a covenant before the Lord, and David remained at Horish, and Jonathan went home. Well, hot on David's trail, Saul pursues David south into the wilderness of Maon. Right as David is close to being captured, King Saul is pulled away on official business to fight the Philistines. The place becomes called the Rock of Escape because of David's narrow escape from Saul. In 1 Samuel 24, once King Saul is done protecting Israel from the Philistines, as is his role for king, he goes back to his favorite pastime, hunting David. David hides in a deep cave, and circumstances have it that Saul seeks to relieve himself in the very cave David hides. David could kill Saul, yet chooses mercy. 1 Samuel 24, 4-7, it says, "Then David went and stealthily cut off a corner of Saul's cloak. Afterward, David was stricken to the heart because he had cut off a corner of Saul's cloak. He said to the men, 'The Lord forbid it that I should do this thing to my Lord, the Lord's anointed, to raise my hand against him, for he is the Lord's anointed.' So David scolded his men severely and did not permit them to attack Saul." David decides to confront Saul at a distance, telling the king that he has spared his life. 1 Samuel 24:11-12. "I have not sinned against you, though you are hunting me to take my life. May the Lord judge between me and you. May the Lord avenge me on you, but my hand shall not be against you." It says here in verse 16 and 17 that Saul lifted up his voice and wept. He said to David, "You are more righteous than I, for you have repaid me good, where I have repaid you evil." Saul continues and says, "May the Lord reward you with good for what you have done to me this day. Now I know that you shall surely be king, and that the kingdom of Israel shall be established in your hand. Swear to me, therefore, by the Lord, that you will not cut off my descendants after me, and that you will not wipe out my name from my father's house." So David swore to Saul, which is very similar to what he swore to Jonathan. And then Saul went home, but David and his men went up to the stronghold. Thus, this would be one possible ending for the conflict between Saul and David. But, as we will see next time, other accounts are added to the saga, complicating the narrative of events we've already discussed, and we will see some similar repetition of these events next time. So thank you for joining, and I look forward to hearing more from you on this Daily Bread Bible Study.